Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. I'm Devlin, and thanks for pressing play or joining me here tonight. I'm recording this in the evening, so I guess I'm just assuming you're listening to this at night. Normally I just say welcome or hello, but I don't know why I've made the bold attempt to say good evening. But hey, if it's morning, whatever it is, thanks for tuning in anyhow. Before I get to my first topic today, I wanted to say that this has been a really, the last week has been a really bad week for me in technology because it's actually been about 2 weeks now or 3 or whatever it is. But yeah, I want to share it with you just because I cannot believe how much bad luck I have had with technology. It started off when my MP3 player died and I had to buy a new one. And I invested in a Sony Walkman MP3. I've never had one before, and I'm very happy with it. So maybe it was a good thing because I think it's better than the one I had. And it's, yeah, I'm very happy with it. But I was really upset because whenever I lose my MP3, I have to get a new one. I thought I'd have to go maybe to get an iPod, and there's nothing wrong with iPods. I'm not anti-Apple or anything like that. It's just I've heard it's very hard to put songs on that aren't necessarily bought from the Apple Store or iTunes and stuff like that. And, I use a lot of things like I think I use a Google one. I think it's a Google one or an Amazon one. I also use Pure Tracks and stuff to buy my music. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of stuff that I've transported over from my albums and CDs more, and because I just can't find them anywhere, and so I wouldn't want to lose them from my library because I'm very proud of the library I have. But anyhow, so I'm happy with my Sony Walkman. I got it at a good price and stuff. So I thought that would be the end of my troubles, and then as you've regularly heard, I carry personal speakers with me everywhere. I like to have my music available to me. And my one set of speakers died on me. I had it for about 2.5 years. I absolutely loved it. It's a JBL. So they died. And then I have a backup set that I've been using for decades. I think these have held since like the late 90s, in that era. And I went to go put them in and they didn't work. And so I had all my personal speakers were pretty much dead. So I had to go out and find another personal speaker, and I knew, I'd have to pay a little bit more because of the fact that, I know sometimes you buy those cheap ones that, they're good for like if you're thing, but I like to play it loud and proud, and I want it to sound good too. So I found up another JBL clip, and and I'm happy with that so far. Well, I wasn't happy at first because when I first bought this one, I had it for only 4 days, and a couple times it actually cut out because I had some bass on it, and the bass would literally turn off the speaker. And then, like just 4 days into it, it wouldn't even turn on. The light wouldn't come on, nothing. So I actually had to return that speaker, get an exchange. Now, so far, knock on wood, me knocking on wood, that speaker's been working okay. So I get down to do this week's show, and I actually record it. And I go to record it, and my little tape recorder is not working. My little recorder is not working. I know it's not dead. It's just, it's got disk errors written all over it. So I know I have to have Corta looking into it. I know Corta's at her mother's, so no problem. So when I go to get my microphone, I think, okay, I guess I got to put the microphone up. That microphone wasn't working, but surprisingly had enough technical training to get that microphone working and recorded the show. Now, that's where all my technical troubles should have ended, but last night I went to go bring this episode to Heather, And I had recorded all 3 segments, and the microphone did not work properly for the first segment. The segment you are hearing right now, I'm actually re-recording. So, because my microphone was on the fritz. But the other 2 we managed to salvation. We managed to save. Let's keep it like that. And so basically, this is a brand new version of it. So I hope it goes as well, because I thought I did a great version on this segment when I first did it, but I have to re-record it. The other 2 ones you hear, if you have any kind of problems or stuff with it, that's because I had mic troubles, but I think those ones are okay. So technically, maybe I jinxed myself by talking about how technology's been against me, because ironically, I've added more to the story now, because this is the second time I'm taping this segment. So let's hope I can do it some justice, because it is a pretty important topic to me, and I don't get too political on here, but when something happens in the world where I feel I need to get it off my chest, then I have to get it off my chest. So here we go. Recently, actually, let's not go recently. Let's go back to last summer for the Pride Fest in Toronto. Black Lives Matter was an honored guest there in the parade, and basically what happened was they stopped the parade and held a small protest and said they weren't going to let the parade continue unless their demands were met. And some of the demands I actually agreed with, like communication, open communication to talk about Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. And absolutely, I think, I did some segments in the past about how I was offended by the protest, and I was. But I do agree all lives matter, and that's Black lives too. But one of the requests they actually said was that they wanted police not to participate in the next year's Pride. And recently, and around the time Donald Trump was, had his inaugural events, and he was, getting in, and basically Facebook, if you looked at Facebook, everything you saw was Donald Trump, Donald Trump. I think it's going to be like that for the next 4 years, if we survive that long. But while the heat of all the Donald Trump stuff was going on, I happened to stumble on a little story that said that Toronto Pride is not going to let police be in uniform at the next Pride. And they're not allowed a float. And I couldn't believe, and I think honestly, to be honest, I think they released this around the time all the Donald Trump stuff is because people were so obsessed with Donald Trump going into office that they just snuck it in there so it wouldn't be such a big deal. But Black Lives actually matter. Black Lives Matter actually got their request and held something hostage in order to get their demands met, and police will not be allowed to be in uniform at Pride. And no float. When I read this, I was absolutely disgusted by it, because Pride for me, if you've ever listened to any of my Pride shows, Pride for me is for everybody. Yes, it's celebrating gay, lesbian, trans, bisexual, any kind of the sexuals, pansexual, anything. But to me, I like that we welcome everyone in. In fact, one of the things I love about Pride is we welcome, the families. They're not gay, but we welcome the families who have gay people in. I love that we welcome everybody in, because that is what we are about. We've fought places that asked, no gay people are allowed here. We don't want your kind here. And Pride opened that up, so when we throw a party, and especially a big party like Toronto has, everybody is invited. So what does this mean? That means that there is now a group that isn't invited. Oh, sure, they can come, but they can't be proud of their job. They can't be proud of the uniform they wear. They can't have, you know, a float to promote that, they do so much for the gay community. Now, with all the stuff that's going on in the world with, Donald Trump banning all these, Muslims and stuff, we're sitting there pointing our fingers at the fact that nobody should be banned. Nobody should be. And yet I'm not seeing that many people pointing their fingers at Toronto Pride saying, look, Black Lives Matters did their bullying and got what they wanted. Yeah, that means bullying does work. Yeah, you should go and tell your kids, sit your kids down, your grandkids, everybody, that look, bullying does work. Because that's not open communication. That's basically, we are going to give in to what you want. And so tell them, bullying works, In this time when we're trying to stop bullies, nope, it does. And I can't believe that so many people have not picked up on this. But yet my Facebook feed is filled with how America is not letting certain refugees or certain immigrants coming into the world, which is just as, that is obviously just as dire. But now we've got a festival, a huge, like Toronto Pride is absolutely huge. Like the amount of people that come in the city and offer so much money to the thing for this. And they're doing the same thing, but not getting the same press because they decided, let's sneak it in under the radar. Now, I think the police have taken the high road because they've basically said that they're going to honor this. They won't obviously be there, and obviously they won't do a float, but they're not going to cut any of the stuff they do for the gay community. That they're going to just be as proud of what they do, and I think that's wonderful that they took the high road. Because you know what? What disgusts me and why I'm thinking about not being gay anymore and not promoting it and not just being myself is the fact that we are the ones that should be the better people. We are the ones who were ostracized and then suddenly we're being brought back in and then suddenly it's just not, suddenly we start now picking groups. So what does this mean for the future? We're allowed to start picking. Maybe next one, gay men won't be able to be in it, or people with AIDS, or, pansexuals aren't really, diverse enough. So, they can go make their own thing. We can now start picking and choosing. And that really saddens me. In fact, it doesn't sadden me. It disgusts me that I'm a part of this group. Now, I go to Hamilton Pride. I'm not a huge supporter of it, but I do try to go to events and stuff, and I promote it as much as I can. But I've always wanted to go to Toronto Pride, but with this in place, I don't have any intentions of ever going. And it seems like what I've heard from the gay community, some are mixed, and by all means, you're allowed to have your voice. If you feel more comfortable that uniformed cops will not be there, then by all means, you're allowed to have that, and I respect your decision. I do know there's a lot of gay people who support the cops being there and are very against this. And hopefully that they will not promote Pride this year and not go, because I think that's the biggest thing you can do. And to me, it casts a huge shadow on a beautiful event that used to incorporate everybody and join everybody in. And now to me, it's a joke. And again, I'm saddened by the fact that all the people that are against, banning people coming from this country in the States. And here we have the same situation happening. This past Monday in Montreal, Muslims were shot at a mosque. It's happening in our own thing. And we are so smug that we basically are, still keep saying that, oh, it's America's fault. It's America's fault. Well, guess what? No. America had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter opening up and holding hostage and then getting their rights and keeping police out. This is stuff that's happening in our own territories, but we decide that we're just too good for that. So if we keep concentrating on what America does, we can pat ourselves on the back. But it's happening here. I'm really hate being a gay man right now. I've never fit into the community. I've always told you that. And stuff like this doesn't make it any better. It just makes me cringe knowing this kind of stuff goes on. And this has nothing to do about me fitting in or anything, but when we now start picking people who can and cannot come to Pride. Yes, if it was a party that was going to be, like neo-Nazis or something that was going to cause trouble, those church groups that want us all dead, and we banned them from it, okay, I can understand that a little more because there's a high potential. But the police that help us, the police that do things in the community, I have never been to a Hamilton Pride where I've never seen a Hamilton booth that's recruiting for gay, lesbian, and trans officers. I've never been to one because they've always been there. I've always seen a recruitment table there, and it always made me feel good that they're looking in this place for it. It showed me, hey, look, they care. Now, what I love about this, too, is the people that are so, I'm happy this happened. I'm happy. I don't feel safe with them walking around with their guns and stuff. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. Something bad happens to you, be thankful that the police are going to take the higher thing and they don't think of that and they're going to come save you anyhow. Because to me, I would probably hold a grudge. I'd be like, well, they don't want us at the parade, so how can we actually go in there and do our job? I don't know. To me, there's something really, I don't know. I think there's something when you cut out security, when you cut out something that is supposed to be secure out of an event, and you just kind of take that out of the numbers. To me, this says that you're inviting chaos. Because now you're going to have other groups, hate groups, that are going to know there's going to be no real police presence there. And if there is, they're going to be in their own clothes and stuff like that. To me, that is just something you'd see out of like a, Chris Nolan Dark Knight movie where you're just inviting chaos in. And for you people that are always posting about how awful things are in Trump, let's clean out our own backyard before we point fingers. People getting killed at a mosque in Quebec City. We can say that's the results of Americanism and stuff like that, but this could have been brewing before all this happened. It's easy to point fingers. It doesn't matter. These were 5 Canadian Muslims that died on our soil. It doesn't matter who we point the picture at unless we stop this from happening. I think there's a lot of similarities to all this, and it's sad. And yes, it's going to continue to get sadder. But for right now, I am not going to be gay. And I may be using it in a jokey tone at the beginning, but I'm deathly serious of it right now. I am so not proud to be gay at this moment in time. For the people who are going to boycott Toronto Pride, I recommend that you check out smaller prides. Cities all over Canada are doing their own prides. And they may not be as big exposed as Toronto, but you can still have a lot of fun and be places where we will accept the police and promote those Pride Days. And for the people who support this decision, have a great time. Because I'm not going to stop you. I want Pride to be about everybody. I don't want it to be starting to point out groups. It's kind of like, when women fought, to, be included in gyms, country clubs. And then basically, as soon as they got the rights, we started making gyms that are women exclusive and men can't go to it. To me, that's the same demon. You can't have exclusive clubs. I remember a couple of years ago, I read about they were trying to build a school for just gay kids. And I was so against it because to me, we fought to get into just the regular community, and that we were allowed to be gay in our own schools and universities and stuff. And now we want to isolate ourselves and make ourselves, this is just for gay people. I'm not on board for that. Anyhow, I am going to lighten things up. I didn't get to see much movies in January. The only two I saw were I went to go see Star Wars Rogue One again and La La Land, so I didn't see any new movies. So I'm going to take a look at my most anticipated movies of the new year, 2017, when I get back. Welcome back. Devlin here, and we've got more Pirate Radio Show. We're going to change up things now. I hope you got yourself some beverages, and maybe some popcorn, because we're talking movies. Now, as I said, I normally talk about the movies I saw, but January was kind of a slow month, and nothing really interested me, and I just went to see movies that came out in December again. But since we have a little bit of time, I decided, hey, let's take a look at some of the movies this year that are coming out that I'm excited for. Now, remember last year when I looked at my favorite movies, a lot of them were independent films, and some of those don't get release dates. They get kind of like, we're going to release this, decide closer to when the movie comes out. So, basically, the stuff I'm going to be talking about is big, big, big stuff. So, let's see what's coming up. It's February, and even though January didn't have exactly a lot of great things that I was looking forward to, there's two big ones that I'm looking forward to, and one I'm going to have to probably, people will be like, really? But we won't talk about that one first. We'll start with John Wick 2, starring Keanu Reeves. Now, this movie, if you have not seen John Wick 1, I cannot tell you enough. If you're an action fan or just a movie fan in general, why have you not seen this movie? This movie is absolutely wonderful. It's bug nuts crazy. The action is incredible. The story's interesting as hell. Keanu Reeves is in top form again. Yes, I'm saying those words because it's true. John Wick was an amazing film. It was so good. I actually am a little nervous of them doing a sequel because it's such a unique film that it's scary to think that I'm not sure that this is a movie that lightning will strike twice for, but you know what? I love the first movie so much, I'm going to give it a chance, and that's coming out in February, very, very soon. Also coming out in February, the one that I probably have to hang my head a little bit for. No, I'm going to say it loud and proud, because I was one of the few people who spoke its praises. Though, the amount of people that saw it, I'm sure I'm not alone. I just think people don't want to admit they like this movie. It's the sequel to 50 Shades of Grey. I just recently rewatched that movie, and I really like it. I like the chemistry between Jamie Dornan and, oh my god, her name slipped out of my head. Dakota Johnson, that's it. I really like it, and where it left off was just... there is definitely room for a sequel. I know there's 3 books. Hopefully there'll be 3 movies. They're both back, and I can't wait. I've never read the books, but people told me that if you did like the books, the second one was the best. So hopefully this will mean that this movie will be even better. But I still like the first movie. I'm not saying it was one of the greatest films ever made, but I liked it. It was enjoyable. It was sexy. It was kind of hot. I'm looking forward to this one because I like the lead actor, Christian Grey, the character. I like his character. It's really screwed up, and we were just getting to know him when the movie ended, so I'm hoping we get to see more of that in number 2. 50 Shades Darker coming out in February. And please, they're talking that they might recast for the third one. I hope this is not true. I hope that they were smart enough to sign them for all 3 movies, because this would be a crime, because they are so good. In March, there's a lot of movies coming out. March has never been a year for, great movies coming out, but there's 4 that I'm looking forward to. And then when I think about it, my favorite movie of last year, Batman vs. Superman, did come out in March, so who knows? Logan is the first one. If you've seen the trailers for this looks like an X-Men movie of a different horse. Hugh Jackman proclaiming this could be the last outing for Wolverine, although I have a feeling if Ryan Reynolds asked him to put the claws back on for another Deadpool reunion, like for them to be together in a movie, I think he would. But this should be Logan's last ride if that doesn't happen, and it looks so good. It looks very dramatic and different tone than all the other X-Men films. Beauty and the Beast, the live-action version with Emma Watson, and Dan Stevens, looks absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see this play out. The Beast looks a little weird, but I'm hoping when I see it in the context of the whole movie, it won't be as weird as it seems. Kong, Skull Island. I'm secretly a big fan of King Kong and Godzilla movies, and I'm interested to see how they're doing this one. The trailers look really fabulous on this, but I think what else really gets me in this mood and into this movie is this is going to be leading up in a couple of years to King Kong versus Godzilla. And so they literally have to make Kong really big in this one in order to make the logistics. Because, back when they did the Japanese classics, they didn't care. It was just a guy in a monkey suit and a guy in a dragon suit. Spoilers. But when you do the context, Godzilla's like knocking buildings down. King Kong's climbing them. So they really don't have the same size structure. So Kong is going to have to be ludicrously big, but I have a feeling this movie could be a lot of fun. And speaking of a lot of fun, maybe it's because I grew up with this property, but I am really looking forward to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The first trailer came out, it looked really interesting. The second one came out, still looked interesting. Got to see Zordon, got to see Alpha. Very interesting stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. Hope they have somewhat a resemblance of that Go Go Power Rangers! I know they'll lose some credibility if they do that, but the fans will eat it up. And those are the 4 movies I'm looking forward to in March. That I know of. The wonderful thing about going to the movies is that there could be those small films that you find out about later that are the ones that blow you away, like a Sing Street, or something like that. In April, there's one movie that's on my list, and that's Fast and the Furious 8. Although I am a little leery because Paul Walker won't be in this one. They did give him a nice write-off. Of course, this isn't a big spoiler since the actor died. Now, Vin Diesel, anybody who knows Vin, can be a little crazy at times on his, Twitters and his Facebooks. He claims that the character Brian O'Connor might be back again in the series at some point. They haven't said exactly how they're going to do it, if they're going to do some CGI stuff, or if they're going to do some recasting. I don't know, but this one looks pretty interesting. I've only seen minimal trailers, and that's okay because they kind of blend in with me. Lots of car crashes, nice enough twists in the story to make them seem like they're plausible. So I like this franchise, so 8 should be a lot of fun. May is the summer movies coming out. This is where my big movie that I'm waiting for the most is, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Everybody knows how much I absolutely love it. If you come into my studios, there's a huge Guardians poster right on the, right framed, because I love this movie so much. I can't wait to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The first 2 trailers have been fun and seem to capture the feel of what the first one was. But the first one was more than fun. It was also very action-packed. It was also very heartwarming. And let's see if they can pull that all off again. And it doesn't have the element of surprise. I remember we all walked into Guardians not knowing what to expect. And we wanted to learn more. So we're finally going to get it. I am sort of looking forward to this next movie, but it's bittersweet. It's Alien Covenant. I think I'd look forward to it more if there was no Prometheus beforehand. I was not the biggest Prometheus fan because of the fact that I was promised an Alien prequel, and I went into it not getting anything like that. It looked spectacular, but the performances were really flat for me, everything. So this is supposedly the sequel to Prometheus, but the prequel to the first Alien. Again, I'd like to be happy that Ridley Scott's behind the wheel, but he was behind the wheel of Prometheus. I'm going to give it some hope. I like the posters that are hinting like we're going to actually see aliens, which we didn't really see a lot of them in Prometheus, just kind of a hint of maybe something that was close to it, but not quite. So I'm going to put this on my must-see list, but until I see a trailer, I won't be really excited. And who wouldn't be excited to see Baywatch? You know, anytime I can see Dwayne Johnson and Zac Efron half naked running, throw in some beautiful women in there also. Also, if this has the tone of 21 Jump Street, which looks like it's going for, Baywatch is the perfect movie to do it. There's so many great parodies online, French and Saunders, you know, so many people have done this. Hopefully they can pull it off, because if they don't, this could be a mess, but with Dwayne Johnson and Zac Efron, these guys are really great with comedy, so I'm hoping they'll at least have a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll have a lot of fun with them. In June, I've got 2 movies I'm really looking forward to. I am a fan of the DC Universe in a big way. I didn't like Man of Steel so much. Batman v Superman was my favorite movie of last year, and I hella loved, and I don't use that word a lot, Suicide Squad. So I'm really looking forward to Wonder Woman. Being a fan of Wonder Woman and only getting to see her on the little screen, it was so good to see her in Batman vs. Superman. It's about time we finally take a crack at her own movie. I think a lot of people are looking forward to this, and let's hope that the people who haven't liked the DC Universe will still like it, because they need to get one right. They need to get one right. Every movie that's come out, now don't get me wrong, they've been right in my books, but every movie that's come on has really torn the fans, and let's hopefully they get one that majority of the fans will like it. Will Wonder Woman be that one? Who knows, but it'll be great to see her on the big screen. And The Mummy. I wasn't really excited about when I heard they were going to reboot The Mummy, because I have a fondness for the first 2 of the series with Brendan Fraser, but when I started noticing that they're going to try to build a universal monster thing, I thought, yeah, let's go for it. But when I first saw the first trailer with Tom Cruise, I thought, you know what? I'm going to put this on my must-see list. Just because Tom Cruise, you know, he usually hooks himself up to pretty solid productions. And one thing you can always get from Tom Cruise is bringing his A game. In July, a movie I'm really looking forward to is Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't know why I'm looking forward to this. I love the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. I did not like the Amazing Spider-Man that much as everybody else did, but I did like the second one, which a lot of people didn't like. So with my Spider-Man, my spider sense tingles in different places. He made a great debut, Tom Holland, as a young Spider-Man in Captain America: Civil War. I'm looking forward to see what they do with this. A little nervous because I like that Tony Stark's going to be in it, but I saw that there's some clips with Iron Man in the trailer, and I hope Iron Man doesn't hijack this film. I don't think he will. And we'll see if this is the one. I love that everybody loves Spider-Man. Like, I remember the 2 Tobey Maguire ones came out, and people loved those ones. And then when the Amazing Spider-Man, oh, this is great, Andrew Garfield, he's the Spider-Man. And then as soon as that franchise failed, people were all, oh, I didn't like that. And so I'm interested to see what people will see with this, but I'm starting to believe Spider-Man fans are a little flighty. You know, oh, Tobey Maguire makes a great Spider-Man. Oh, Andrew Garfield, he's a better Spider-Man. Now they've pretty much dumped both of those and shat on both those movies now. So we'll see if Homecoming will make them happy. If not, I think Spider-Man's going to have to be like a 10-year-old boy in the next reboot. But let's hope Marvel has some say in it. I always made a prediction that when Spider-Man joins the Marvel Universe, that's when it's going to start unraveling. I'm confident because I liked what I saw of Spider-Man in Civil War that maybe I said that prematurely, but we'll see. I could be right still. Also in July, I'm looking forward to the War of the Planet of the Apes. I never wanted to see another Planet of the Apes movie again. I thought the Tim Burton one was kind of flat, even though I didn't hate it. And I remember that when I can never remember what, the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I believe it was, came out. I wasn't really thrilled to go see it, but I went. And actually, I didn't went. Somebody gave it to me when it came out on DVD, and I absolutely adored it. Then I went to see the other one, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I might get them mixed up, but I think those are the order. And I remember loving it. I love this series. They're two very different movies, but in the similar vein. I can't wait to see what War of the Planet of the Apes brings us. It's nice to be excited about this series again. I'm also looking forward to Dunkirk, Chris Nolan's war movie. It's interesting that he's putting this out in the summer, like a serious war movie. But it's Hacksaw Ridge I saw, and I absolutely adored it. And it was a battle that I knew nothing about. I don't know much about Dunkirk either, so I'm anxious to learn. Yes, I learned my history from movies. I could easily just Google it or watch a documentary on YouTube, but I choose to watch my stuff. Now, this is really weird, but I looked at August's schedule, and there is nothing at this moment that interests me at all in August. Nothing. So either I'm going to be rewatching some of my favorite movies of the summer, or that's going to be the month I'm going to be watching some independent films, or renting, buying videos of movies that I missed at the beginning of the year. In September, I have one lowly thing, and I'm not even sure if I'm really looking forward to this, but I did just recently watch the original. It was a miniseries on TV. It's Stephen King's It. And I really kind of liked it, but I thought it was a little dated. So I'm kind of glad they're remaking it. I just don't know how they're going to do it in so little time. The miniseries had about 3 hours because it was a 2-night event. This one's only going to probably have to do it in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I hope they don't miss a lot of the good stuff that the original had. But this is one of those horror remakes that could be good. So I'm looking forward to it. In October, Blade Runner 2049. I decided to put this on. I am not the biggest fan of Blade Runner. I've never been. I've watched it several times, and I've never had that aha moment. In fact, sometimes I find myself bored, and a couple times I've fallen asleep through it. I was very young when it came out, and I think it was deeper than that. But I recently tried to watch it again because I finally found a copy of it, and I literally fell asleep. So I am going to try to watch it again before October rolls around for the sequel. But hey, Harrison Ford's back in this, and Ryan Gosling. This sounds like it could be really good. And you know they're not going to make it in the same style. They're going to have a little bit of that feel, but it's going to be an action-packed film, so I won't fall asleep through it in the theaters. The real big movie I'm looking forward to in October, though, is the sequel to Kingsman. I forgot to write the whole name down. But Kingsman was a surprise from a couple years back that I absolutely adored. And Taron Egerton, I think, was in it, and Colin Farrell. I don't want to give away spoilers, but one of those shouldn't be in the thing, but his name's linked to it, so I don't know if it's going to be flashbacks or something. But you're going to have people like Elton John and Channing Tatum and a whole bunch of other people in this. And the first one was just so over-the-top crazy and heartfelt. I can't wait for Kingsman 2. It's one of my eagerly anticipated movies. In November, it's going to be interesting because we're going to actually have possibility of a Marvel DC battle because these movies are going to be coming out about 3 weeks apart. Thor's going to come out first with Ragnarok, and I've loved the Thor movies. I know some people don't consider them the best of the Marvel series, but they're still very entertaining. This one's going to have people in it. There's talk that Hulk and Doctor Strange are going to be in it. Spoiler alert, sorry, but it'll should be fun. Looking forward to it. Justice League is the DC movie coming out. This is the big one. Especially if Wonder Woman has some issues, this could be interesting. But again, people are going to go to this. It doesn't matter because it's got Batman in it. It's going to have Wonder Woman in it. It's going to have The Flash. It's going to have Cyborg and Aquaman. How can I forget Aquaman? One of my favorites. And it looks so far very good. They rushed a trailer out for this just to let you know it's in good hands. Now, some of you DC fans are probably saying, that's what you said about Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman, and had pretty good trailers, and they didn't pan out. I have a feeling if Justice League doesn't do well and gets all the hate that the other movies have been getting, this could be the end of the cinematic universe as we speak, and a reboot is born. But I'd like to think that Justice League is going to help us continue the stuff we've seen, because I don't want to lose Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill as Batman and Superman. And finally, I put this on my November list, even though it's not likely something that I'd normally go see, but I'm intrigued. Out of all the remakes, I've seen remakes of horrors this year, action, stuff like Flatliners, Friday the 13th getting another reboot. But the one that I like is that they're going to go back to an Agatha Christie classic, Murder on the Orient Express. And I like when they do these because they usually get like an array of actors. I haven't heard any of the casting news on this yet. But if they do it with like a whole bunch of great cast members, I think this could be a lot of fun. I think it's great that we're tackling Agatha Christie again. I hope this is a little bit of a resurgence for her. Because although I never saw a lot of Agatha Christie movies, I knew a lot of people that love them and love the movies that they made for them. So I'd love to see that, because it would be different than seeing a resurgence in, we always see like superheroes or sand and sword movies. So it would be great to see like, hey, an Agatha Christie movie. Who would have thought? And finally, December. Is there any other movie except Star Wars Episode 8? Finally, we get to see what Luke's first words are to Rey as she hands him that lightsaber. I joke that it'll be, who the hell are you? I have amnesia. But I don't think he will, not to mention I don't think Luke will talk like an old Jewish man or Count Devlin. But of course, I'm looking forward to Star Wars 8. After my disappointment in Rogue One, I need a good Star Wars movie again, and I hope they really bring it. And I want to see lots of Kylo Ren on this. He was my favorite character. Well, him and BB-8. In the new movies, and I want to see more of all of them, and Finn and Rey, and get to see my final Carrie Fisher images that will be on the screen. And finally, my favorite character in the Star Wars series, Luke Skywalker, is back. And not just for a second. He's going to be back for an entire movie, and I can't wait. They've just announced it's called The Last Jedi, and I am so there. Anyhow, there's my look at movies. Hopefully you'll be excited too. Why don't you check our site and see what other movies are coming out? Because there's a lot of other movies that, I just may not have put on my list that you would probably like. But anyhow, I am going to take another break, and then I'm going to come back and talk about something a little more serious right after this. We are back, and I am going to be talking about another subject that has come up recently. Actually, this has come up probably a while ago, but I never got around to talking about it, and I always did, and it's a little controversial, but maybe not. We'll see. Anyhow, look around you right now. Do you have any vices around you? Do you have, like, a cup of coffee, maybe a glass of soda? Maybe you've got something a little harder, a little rum or some whiskey? Maybe you're smoking a little pot while you're listening to this, We all have vices, and, vices are, obviously things that help us get through the day. Some people say it's not good for you, some people say in moderation, some people say absolutely not. And although vices become a part of who we are, I personally have trouble. My monkey on my back in a lot of ways is, well, food in general. He's in the size of me. But pop, soda, cola, whatever you want to call it. It's hard for me. I stopped drinking it for a while, and it was great. I was losing all kinds of weight, but it is like my boobs. I always say I'm not a big drinker, but honestly, I haven't drank in so long. I think I had a little champagne a couple of New Year's ago, but it was so little. And I can't really drink a lot of alcohol because it just knocks me on my ass. I'm like drunk immediately. I can look at alcohol and be drunk. But that's my thing. That's my thing. Cola is my weakness, and if I'm having a bad day, I can, cut it out for a couple of days, and then I have one bad day, and I'm reaching for that Coke bottle. I'm reaching for that Coke. It's good that I put Coca-Cola or Coke bottle, because I don't want people to tune in late and think I'm some Coke addict. But the reason I bring this up is they are medications. They are enhancers. And I think a big part of my problem in life is that I go through this life with not using a lot of those, I don't use pot. I don't use drugs of any kind. Well, I use NyQuil. If I can't sleep or I'm got cold, I use that. I take, prescription medication that doctors prescribe to me, But recently I've gone through some bad patches, and a couple of times, the last couple times that I have brought this up, whether I talk about it on my social media, like Facebook or something, it's come up, and I've gotten a couple people who have actually talked to me about going to get diagnosed to see if I could be somebody who could use medication to help my mood swings. And they've told me personal stories about how that changed their lives. How they basically kind of had hard times getting through regular day-to-day incidences because their stress or anxiety or mood swings kicked in. And they say that, seeing me go from ups to downs and that maybe I'm somebody who could qualify for that. First of all, when people write me letters, I don't care what it's about, they've taken the time. The fact that I'm worthy of, any kind of letter, I'm honored by. I've got people that claim they love me that wouldn't write me 2 sentences, let alone 2 paragraphs. But these people are so open and honest about their experiences with depression medication and stuff like that, and how, in some cases it had helped their whole family who've been diagnosed with depression or anxieties or stuff like that. Now, don't think I have not thought about this. I have constantly thought about it. I've constantly thought about maybe going to get diagnosed to see if I'm clinically depressed or not. I recently went through a I don't care about shit phase. Like, I literally didn't care what happened to me, anything. But, I don't know, when people told me that this was definitely, if this is something that goes on for a long period of time, that this is definitely a symptom of it. And again, I thank all the people that came to me with this and suggested it to me. And I am so happy to hear it's working out in your life. I just can't bring myself to do it. It's not because of fear. It's not because of fear. Maybe a little, but not the kind of fear you're probably thinking. Now, I always joke and call them happy pills, and I know I shouldn't, because I think, obviously, prescribed medication is serious, no matter whether it's for, high blood pressure or diabetes or, migraine headaches or for, bipolar or depression or... So I think all of it is, and I respect all the people who sent this to me, but it's the truth of the matter is I can't bring myself to do it. I already take medication for high blood pressure, my cholesterol, and for my diabetes. And I should be working to get off of those the best I can. And I know if I lost weight, I could probably get off the high blood pressure. I could probably get off the thing. Although they did say my high blood pressure and my cholesterol might be hereditary, because one of my cholesterol numbers, it didn't matter what I did, even when I cut things out, the one was just very high. I think you have 3 numbers, and the 2 were controlled, but 1 was out of control, and they said, this might not be your fault. This might be a thing. And again, my blood, when I got the high blood pressure, my my blood pressure was all over the place. And then as soon as they gave me my pills, it controlled it immediately. They were so happy. It is scary to think that I can take some pills and maybe my anxieties won't be so high. But I can't do it. I know I'm a raw nerve, and when I get into those anxiety states, I'm a really, really raw nerve. Like, literally anything can set me off. I can go on Facebook and see something. I can hear something in the lineup. If, like I said, some of my electronics didn't work, it sent me off the deep end. Like, I could get crazed. Now, I don't go into a rage. I get down on myself, I think. Even the times when I just don't care about things. I don't care about life. There are things I do care about. My friends, my family. I still care about them. So I don't know how serious this is. Maybe I just don't want to say it's serious because I don't want to take the pills. I've had a couple people tell me that it does take away the lows, but it also takes away the highs. And when I'm in a good stream, it's a great thing. It's a wonderful feeling. When I hear a song that just makes my heart soar, I love that. And the fear of losing that just because I need help. There are some days I want to run to the doctor and say, get me some happy pills. I can't do it. It's one thing for my health as in my, and I know what people are going to say, that my physical health and my mental health are just as important. And that's true, but to me they are two different separate things. Because in a lot of ways, I don't personally believe you can measure all your psychological problems. Like, I think there's been so many people misdiagnosed. The other thing I don't want to get stuck on is I don't want to use it. As in, oh wow, I've been diagnosed with clinically depressed and I'm going to start getting medication. Well, that'll be the answer to everything now. I can blame everything on that. And I'm sorry, there are people that do, you know. And I'm not saying it's not true. I'm sure there are a lot of people that can barely get out of bed some days because it's so bad. I'm a fighter. I get out of bed. I face things. That's probably my problem right there, is that I still fight. And even when I don't care about the world, I put my pants on. I go over and do my job when my schedule says. I do not call off work. I have people that tell me they're never sick and they call off work when they're just not feeling it, depressed. I think maybe I've done that a couple of times in my life, but usually I'll have to be really sick to ever do that. So I hope that for all the people who told me that it's helped their family out, I'm so thankful for that. I am thankful that you found something that works for you. But for me, I'm gonna not do that, until they, cart me away and say I have no choice but to do it. Because of the fact that I don't want to lose all the intensity of my emotions just to cure the bad ones. Yes, I've tried different things. I've tried meditation. It was working pretty good there for a while, and then a couple things happened where my head just went almost exploded. I might try that again. I want to lose weight. I really do. I'd love to hit the gym. A couple people have even offered me to hey, let's go to the gym together. But I can't do it because I have to be dedicated to it. It's a lot of money, and I'm not one of those people that necessarily are going to put money on it and just be dedicated to do it. I wish I was, because I would. I'd go to a gym right now and get a membership if I knew I'm move my ass for it. And I know it would make me feel better. But I've got to want it, and I don't want it right now. Maybe I like slowly killing myself, with junk food and not exercising and stuff like that. Maybe I am indirectly doing that. But I've got to be committed to that, and I'm not to that. And I'm not committed to being able to take a drug to solve my problems. Not committed to that. So I appreciate all the people who have reached out for me to, maybe give this thing. Trust me, I have thought about it. I've read about it. I have went online to research it. I have come close to even making an appointment to try to find out what's going on. But then I just can't do it at the end. But again, I appreciate all the people that, one, took the time to write to me, to talk to me about the pills and therapy and stuff like that. But I also, I am glad it's working for you. But we live in a world that just because it works for one person doesn't mean it's and hey, it could totally work for me. But I don't want to lose anything. And everything I have read tells me I'm going to lose the good as well as the bad. And I don't want that. I can't. I've always said that it's a curse and a blessing to be oversensitive as me. Over passionate, whatever you want to call it. Could be clinical depression for all you know. I'm more of a romantic, so I like to call it passionate. But the truth be told, I don't want to lose any of that because I think I don't want to lose myself. And even though I fear I'm losing myself when I go into these depressions or I go into these I don't care modes, I feel this is me. I think I am supposed to be a tortured soul. And I am affected by so much in the world, but you'd be surprised how some things don't affect me. Maybe you wouldn't be. Maybe you think, God, this guy is narcissistic to the extreme, and where does he get off? But honestly, this is the way I'm happiest, even though I don't come off as happy. I feel badly for the people that don't feel or have empathy. I feel bad for the younger generations who we're actually grooming not to have feelings. And it's sad because I see that people think they're literally doing justice to their kids, but I've seen a new generation, and I'm not talking everyone, obviously. Every group has got, lots of people that go against the grain. But the majority, you're missing empathy in them. You're missing caring about other people, manners. You're missing loyalty. And I've talked about this before. These are things we can't lose, but we continually do. And while I'm in a world that's losing all that stuff, my nerve is going to be tempered with more and more. So no happy pills for me. I will stick with sneaking my cola whenever I need it, and, any other kind of thing that helps me get through the night. Sometimes I wish I did drink, because sometimes I think, how do people get through life? And then I see their posts about, oh, it's a red wine night, or I'm going to polish off a couple of packs of beer, And I think to myself, or I'm going to go smoke doobs until I can't remember everything. And I think, wow, this is how they get through it. You should try going through the world without this stuff like me. Because I can drink Coke and, hurt my diabetes and make my blood sugar high, or, make myself fat. But it's not changing the way I see the world. It doesn't alter my mood like alcohol or pot or drugs would. Anyhow, on that note, go out and have some fun tonight. Do what makes you feel happy. And thank you for taking the time to listen to my show this week. We're getting closer to number 100. I'm not promising you anything special for 100. At this point, just be happy I'm still putting these podcasts out. Have a great night, and I look forward to talking to you very, very soon.